norm is 60%, so it's just below the national average for ads in the country. But you know what? The year before we'd been at 83%. We typically expect our advertising campaigns, our advertising agencies and our staff to deliver over 75%. We want to be best in class when it comes to the advertising that we do. We don't expect nor do we seek sound results from our investment in marketing dollars. And so we didn't continue to roll out those Sam Neill ads, those red meat, ready for anything ads. Instead, we're back to the drawing board, and we've been working with our industry task forces, our marketing task forces, on how do we best communicate the nutritional benefits that come from consuming lean red meat, both beef, lamb and goat, as part of a healthy and balanced diet. You'll see the results from that advertising, from that rework of this campaign, which basically will roll these messages back into the more targeted messages about both beef and both lamb over the course of this next year. Also on the marketing front, I guess the last one I want to touch on in terms of the last 12 months has really been the great step forward that's been taken with Meat Standards Australia. I should say that one of the other responses you receive, or I certainly received last weekend, was, MLA, has that got anything to do with this MSA that I now see? And we do, quite proudly, and so it's been a great step forward in this last 12 months with the country's largest retailer coming on board and picking up MSA for not only beef but for their lamb products as well. The addition of the country's largest retailer to the ranks of the independent and other chains who have already been the vanguard for MSA over many years previously provided us with a significant boost. Not only a significant boost in terms of demand, but significant boost in terms of the opportunity for exposure to the customer, and hence the opportunity to launch a consumer awareness campaign with regards to Meat Standards Australia. Now, I'm sure many of you in this room have a deep understanding of the science and the technology that goes behind pieces of beef and lamb being able to be graded and scored under the MSA model. Are aware of the over 950,000 consumer samples that have been served up to test what impact does a management or a intervention between farm gate through to retail shelf or through to consumer plate, what impact does that have on the consumer's response to the eating quality of that beef in terms of tenderness, juiciness, flavour and overall likeability. Now, it's a big and complex message to try to get into a short period of time with consumers. And so we've tried to keep it as simple as the fact that MSA is a mark that supports a claim around eating quality for either store or private beef brands. We have launched already one series of consumer education on TV using the What's New format. We've seen a great response to that. In fact, our survey data shows a raised awareness of MSA amongst consumers from 15% to 40%. Now again, it's not just the TV advertising that takes credit for that. A large part of that credit is the fact that, you know, in our largest retailer in the country now, significant packs of their beef and their lamb now bear the MSA logo and the MSA symbol. I hold two goals for MSA. I think Meat Standards Australia and the technology and science that it provides should allow us the goal of ensuring that there's no cattle or sheep in this country that can't grade to an MSA standard. We should be able to remove the fear of failing the consumer in the fundamental of eating quality by providing the science to allow that to occur. We're not there yet. We still have travel and transport restrictions in that MSA model that limit the supply out of our channel country and out of our northern production systems into MSA accredited processing facilities. But the work is underway this year to try to broaden that and to try to ensure that we do stand by that goal of having all cattle and all sheep being able to grade MSA, and for us not to fail consumers with regards to eating quality. Secondly, and equally important, is that MSA as a tool has got to provide the opportunity for brands, whether they be store brands or whether they be private brands, to further differentiate their eating quality attributes in an endeavour to seek more of the consumer's dollars. As they offer a better experience, they should be able to stand behind that claim of a better experience around eating quality, link that to whatever other claims they want to make about provenance or about raising systems, but be able to extract further dollars from the consumer purse to provide increased profitability and sustainability across our whole supply chain. We're looking forward to this next year, providing more opportunities and for us to see emerging more 4- and 5-star branded MSA products across the domestic marketplace. So on the R&D front, which is the other second component, and it's basically a 50-50 split within the company with regards to our overall expenditure. But on the R&D front, where we have 92 cents per head of cattle and 34 cents per lamb. Now that's matched up by government funding. So for every dollar we spend of producers in R&D efforts, the government provides a matching dollar. And in this last year, we've put it into areas focusing on on-farm reproduction efficiency. Particularly in our northern beef herds, and I'll talk more about that in a moment. We've spent a lot on our beef and sheep genetics story, and we've also put funding into partnership and collaborative arrangements such as the Invasive Animals CRC to try to develop new tools, new ways of delivering control measures for wild dogs and other feral animals. I want to touch on two areas in a bit more detail for you. Firstly, around reproduction efficiency. For beef producers, the cost squeeze between input cost rises and the prices received for their livestock has continued to lead to an erosion in capital and increased debt levels for many of our northern production systems. Now, while the outlook and horizon looks bright on the demand side due to an increasing population around the globe and an increasing prosperity, that increasing population with more money aren't just bidding for more beef. They're bidding for all the other resources that they require, from oil, labour, natural resources, that are driving up the input prices for our production systems and our producers as well. Whilst marketing and promotion to help extract the additional consumer dollars into the supply chains will help, a large focus for us is on finding the ways to increase productivity to try to keep ahead of that cost price squeeze. And we need to do it by finding ways that don't require too significant a capital or labour outlay, given the precarious nature of our industry. The work we commissioned recently with northern governments and partners in the Cash Cow project, in which data was collected from 2 reproductive cycles of more than 60,000 cows from 78 commercial properties in Northern Australia, has helped us identify key opportunities for raising productivity in our northern Australian regions. It's allowed us to identify realistic benchmarks around reproduction performance, around traits such as annual pregnancy rates, and again, identified work that we need to be doing in development and extension to lift large tracts of our country up into more reproductive performance. It's quantified for us the importance of cow condition, for example, at calving, and the role that that plays in helping achieve a pregnancy rate at a subsequent mating. Now, if your job is to convert as many kilograms of pasture into kilograms of beef being sold, your reproduction efficiency of your cow base is vitally important. Now, the work we've done in benchmarking across these 78 properties that stretch from the Pilbara across to northern Queensland, we found benchmarks and ranges from 20% of cows pregnant again at the subsequent mating through to a reconception rate of 90%. And that's an enormous difference, an enormous opportunity to lift the reproduction performance of the Australian northern beef herd. It's signalled to us and identified for us and our state department partners areas that we need to prioritise on for this coming year and for the future. Secondly, I see, and many of our producer members believe, we stand on an exciting cusp when it comes to animal genetics.